Hi, I'm Fenderson, Certified Forensic Humorist, and welcome to Critical Joke Theory, Episode 2. I love this country. Now I'm not prepared to call it the greatest or best country in the world. First, the only other country that I've ever visited was Canada, and I was only there for 6 or 7 hours. I can tell you that story later. Second, I have only been to 48 of the 50 states. I have yet to visit Hawaii or Alaska, so I have no idea what they're like, but I have heard some things. Third, if I've learned anything from my time as a stripper years ago, it's that no matter what you think of yourself or what others tell you, there's always someone with bigger talent. So you learn to keep things in perspective and grade on a curve. You have to. In that business, we are all a little different, but we all had a bent to do what we did, usually to the left. What can I say about this country is that we really love our hate. So much so that we're becoming more cunt than tree. You know what our cunt is, so I'm going to focus on tree. If you look at a tree, and you look at all of its parts, its very different parts, and what those parts can do together, you may get a glimpse of what this country can be. Of course, I'm talking about an individual tree, not a forest. When trees become a forest, well, it's a jungle out there and all bets are off. I was watching the oral arguments before the Supreme Court, which included footage of people outside of the court. Basically, there were two groups: the pro-choice people who are in favor of a woman's right to choose, and those people who are in favor of the government telling people that they must carry a baby full term, regardless of any facts or conditions. The anti-choice people. I say pro-choice and anti-choice because that you cannot argue. But to call the anti-choice people pro-life is a bit of a stretch. I only know a handful of self-proclaimed pro-life people that really seek equality, equal justice, and equal opportunity for all people. I am saying a handful, but to be honest, I can only name 4 off the top of my head. Full disclosure, I was an unwanted pregnancy, a botched DIY abortion, an unwanted child. My mother could not get a legal abortion when she found out that she was pregnant with me at 3 months. Now, if my mother had aborted me, I do not know what would have happened for certain because I did not know where I was before I was born. And for those who believe in a loving God, do you not believe that he or she would have a backup plan for me? Maybe I could have gone to another family that did want me. There were other families in the world that may have wanted me for a child. Hell, the way my dad fooled around because of his dyslexia, I could have had the same father, just a different mother and family. But I digress. My point is that many of the anti-choice people are anti-vax and anti-mask. So they could potentially be breathing on pregnant women and giving them deadly viruses that could kill or harm a fetus before it's viable. You can't always tell if a woman is pregnant by looking at her. I know I can't. I do not know how many times I have said, "So when are you due?" only to receive unexpected, "I'm not pregnant," followed by that feeling of being lower than an earthworm dung and less useful. Now, I cannot call anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers pro-life, but I can call them pro-virus. Basically, I do not enjoy not having choices. It sucks. I've had choices taken away from me that still bother me decades later. I mean, Beta was better than VHS. Albums sound warmer than CDs. I wanted an electric car in the 70s when we had real gas shortages with rationing and assigned days to purchase gas. Pro-choice means you can still choose. Anti-choice means someone else makes that choice for you. And it doesn't matter if it's corporations, the so-called free market, or the government deciding not having a choice sucks. I do not expect us all to have the same beliefs. That would be boring. But if we could respect our differences, that would be nice. Can I count on you to try? This pandemic is not over, and it has impacted everyone. And because we're grown-ups, once the severity of the pandemic became apparent, we all adjusted and triumphed over diversity, realizing that we are all in the same boat. We all grabbed oars and masks and began to row in the same direction. Insert your own version of "you're kidding, right?" And of course I am. I was not surprised when I went to the market and found that there had been a run on toilet paper, bread, milk, etc. I see this a couple of times a year when there is a possibility of an accumulation of snow. But when I saw that there was a shortage of cat food, that's when shit got real. Now it's life or death. Everyone knows that if cats are hungry, they will eat you in your sleep. It'll be painless because they'll suffocate you first. Then they'll eat you. After all, they're cats, not savages. We had enough of their food for a week. We had some time. The stores aren't completely out of cat food. There were some off-brands in stock. I tried some lesser brands that were still available, but to quote Ali, short for Muhammad Ali cat, and of course Elsie, short for Lucky Cat Found in Woods, who was a starving, abused cat barely surviving on bugs when we found her in the woods. Now, she only eats Fancy Feast gravy lovers, turkey, or chicken. I found some Fancy Feast chicken chunks in gravy that I bought, and I opened the can and I smashed it up and I served it to them. And let's see, how did Elsie put it? Oh yeah. I tried explaining to them what was going on about COVID. Turns out cats get COVID. What they don't get is patience. I tried to coax them using the same anecdotes my mom told me to get me to eat food that I didn't want to eat. But my cats don't give a rat's whiskers about starving kittens in Africa. So I got on Facebook. Hi, my name is blah blah blah. Sorry, that's a lie. It was more like Shift HI, comma, space MY space NAME space. You get it, right? You don't want me to type this whole thing, out like I did on the Facebook, for real. You get the gist. Great, thank you. I needed to know, is it my imagination or is there a cat food shortage? I found a plethora of support. The good thing about the internet is that you don't have to be alone. If you like trains, you have friends. If you like feet, you have friends. If you like asparagus and capers, okay, some people should be alone. Sorry. The point is, I wasn't crazy. There were over 80 comments. I noticed it too. Me too, me too. What do they eat? Fancy Feast, gravy lovers, chicken and turkey. Where do you shop? Giant. Did you try Shoppers, Food Lion, Walmart, Target, Tractor Supply? Yes, yes. Boycotting them. Yes, yes. Why is this happening? They can't be out of inferior meat and vegetables to make cat food. Hey, I'm talking about you. Yeah. This is Elsie. Lucky Cat Found in Woods. Hey girl. I don't know how long she's going to stay here. She just came here to get rubs, and I'm hoping she'll let me just rub her here instead of keep interrupting. Where was I? Oh yeah. There was a canned pet food shortage in the late 70s and early 80s. But then it was old people who couldn't afford to buy people food, so they were eating canned pet food. Is this what's happening again? I mean, we have a pandemic with all kinds of people losing their jobs and money. An aluminum can shortage. What? No cans. No cans. My wife and I are going to be eating in our sleep because there are no cans? We don't need cans. When I was a kid, and I was born in 1959, you can do the math. If you can't, then I'm 42. When I was a kid, we had bulk foods in barrels. Pickled onions, pickled eggs, pickled pig's feet, pickled pickles. Bring back the barrels. I would scoop up my own wet cat food. I have plastic containers, I have baggies. If I have to, I will scoop it up with my hands. In the meantime, I had to drive to another state for 3 days to headline some comedy shows and make an appearance. In the mornings, I drove around looking for cat food at different stores. Hey, you got any fancy feast? Chicken or turkey flavored? Gravy lovers? No, I'm not a cop. Hey, look, I shouldn't tell you this. It's bad for business. Go to the Giant Eagle around the corner. They got what you need. Thanks. Hey, need anything else? No, I'm good, but thanks. I drove to Giant Eagle and found what I needed. I bought a case of it, and I smuggled it across state lines back to Maryland, trying not to get pulled over. I don't know what laws I may be breaking, smuggling cat food across state lines. I arrived home, expecting a hero's welcome. I carried the cat food in first. I opened the door, and Ali zoomed right past me to run out. Ali, buddy, I have cat food. Oh. He's been waiting to be let outside for hours, or 30 seconds. Hey, Elsie, I have cat food. Can you stop cleaning yourself long enough to say hi? Cleanliness is next to catliness. I walked down the hall to show my wife all of the cat food that I found. Hey, baby, Shh. I'm on the phone. Can you close the door behind you? Thanks. Yep. A real hero's welcome. I remember this next thing like it was yesterday. My wife came home from work. It was on a Thursday. I had just fed the cats and I was cooking our dinner. I'm a great husband. Her eyes were glazed. She looked sick. I looked at her and I asked her how she was doing. She said that she felt awful, and then she kissed me on the lips, as if to say, if I go, you go. She goes directly to bed, and when she wakes up she has a fever of 101, and she's achy all over and has blotches all over her body. Now, because of the nature of who we are, we were prepared for an event like this. We quarantined my wife in the guest room while I, dressed in PPE, brought her food and water to her room. The next morning, my wife was too sick to go to work. A week later, she was still sick. I offered to take her to the doctors, but she declined, and she reminded me she hates going to the doctors and that she's very tough. She actually said wicked tough. She's from Maine. After she was sick for 7 days, I got so concerned that I was afraid to go to work. I didn't know what I'd come home to. She could be alive, or she might be dead, and if she were dead, the cats would have started eating the soft parts. Or worse, she'd be alive but too weak to get the cats off of her face. After 14 days with 103 temperature, we called the doctor. I began to make funeral arrangements in the event that she were to pass. I would cry in private and smile in public. I'm a comedian, technically a humorist, a certified forensic humorist. First, she wanted to be cremated. Second, since my wife's life is spread over 3 states, I have to have 3 services. One in Maine, where she was raised, one in Maryland, where we lived for the most of our marriage, and Florida, where we lived for a short time and where she would like to retire. So I planned to drag her ash up and down the East Coast before releasing her ashes to the Gulf of Mexico. My wife, after 20 days of being ill, made a full recovery. They said that it wasn't COVID, but they have no idea what it was. And to be honest, I don't think they cared once the test with the 50% accuracy rate came back negative. She suffered the after effects for a couple of months. Aches, soreness, colored blotches, African American blotches, but I don't have to use the funeral plans. Hey girl. Everyone was rejoicing, especially me. I was thrilled that my wife didn't die. I'm not ready to let go. Most importantly, I didn't have to explain to the police why there was a dead white woman in my bed and she wasn't a hooker.